Wasn't that a spooky intro? That's right, happy Halloween if you're watching it today. If not, oh well, sorry. But this is Vorendal, who primed in a NATO green first, and then given a Zenithal, air quotes, of Broodmother purple. The reason for that is because I want to give like an eerie glow from below, even if I use or don't use speed paints. Now you saw on the Flesh Ripper how I used the speed paints over it with a dry brush of the pearl skin. Well, we're going to come back to that way of painting, but first we're using Warpaints Fanatic here with Scarab Green, and this is fun. These are colors I actually haven't used much of before. And I'm doing this on the clothing that he has on his like sort of like a dressing or sort of thing there. We're doing it on that there as the base coat. We're going to be highlighting all this stuff later on, but some of the colors pop a little too much, but still end up looking really awesome. If you haven't played Malediction, I don't know what you're waiting for. It is amazing. You do not even need to use these models. You can use the standees that come in the game with the cardboard terrain, and it is just as good as a game as you can think of. This just makes it more come to life, makes it more realistic, but the game itself is just amazing. Now, you saw when I did the pose number 2 with my 3D printed version, yes, it was not the best looking miniature that came out of an FDM printer because I don't have a 0.2 nozzle on it, but it still came out not bad. And I ended up doing non-metallic metal. Well, for this guy, to save myself a little bit of time, I went with metal. That's right, I used a cobalt metal, this one. This one has a hint of blue, just a little hint, not too much, which is perfect, I find, for matching in with the greens here and the purples and the colors I'm going to be using. Again, one of my friends is into Malediction lately. He said, well, I don't want to have to paint all the models if I do get them printed. I said, look, you could do like I did. 2 colors, that's it. A Zenithal over another color, and it could represent the whole color. Like Legion is supposed to be, I think, black or purple or whatever. But I figured, you know what? Legion is kind of like this color, so I figured it would work really well on these guys. So, you know, it's one way of doing it. You could call it done, and you have the models. They look nice. I mean, I have some of them that are just primed, and that's it right now. Even for the Shattered Throne and all that, I still have them all like dry brush and everything, and they look just great like that. I mean, wait till I put paint on them, but still. Alright, enough blabbing on about that. Evergreen Fog. Now, this is such a beautiful color. I don't know why I haven't used it before. I was looking at the artwork for this guy, and this kind of inspired me because other people have done red, they've done black, they've done purple, they've done even like I think some blue I've seen. I wanted to go a little bit closer to the artwork. I like following artwork because I'm very uncreative when it comes to painting stuff, and especially when it comes like to my terrain and that. Anyways, if you haven't seen the terrain for Legion, go check out my socials. I have a whole bunch of pictures of that up, I believe. I should, anyways. If I don't, I will put them up. Mocha skin out as a base coat for the face, but frankly, it ends up looking nicer having kept it maybe like that. But anyways, Company Gray. Now we're doing his hair. Now this is what's cool, is because of that underpainting I did, I'm barely touching, like I'm not going too hard on the brush here. I'm going almost like not a dry brush, but a wet brush, you could say, and leaving some of the recesses darker so that purple stays there. It's kind of dark, and it gives it a nice undertone, and it's not very thick also, so it gives the hair almost a silvery look to it, which I really found looked awesome. And I was going to come back with a second color over it, but I'm like, you know what, this looks nice as this, I'm not going to touch it. Dusty Skull is our next color, and this is another thing I'm doing too. I'm just brushing it as much as I can over the areas, not into the areas too much, not globbing the paint into it, and just trying to get nice coverage, but also keeping that undercoating visible a bit, just to give it some shading effect without having to put actual shades. Weapon Bronze, you just saw me use there on the just the hilt and the part of the sword. No, not the hilt, but I think it's the hand protector, the hand guard, and the pommel. I think that's what it's called. And then I used some I think, what was it, plate mail metal for the sword itself. Now using some bootstrap brown on the belt there, and now coming over that Scarab Green a while ago for Pharaoh Guard. I should have went one color higher. I went with the third color in the flexible triad. This is too much of a pop. It is extremely bright, but it looks kind of cool anyways, and it hits only where the light is going. And I'm doing the same thing here with the Patagon Pine. Another color I don't even think I've ever used. I'm going to be using these colors a lot more on the Legion because I find them really nice, and I think it's going to make capes look really cool when it comes to the other models that have capes and stuff. So we'll take a look at that. Or anything that has cloth, I might use some of these colors in them just so that it all ties them together. Even though you can use a mixture of cards when you have a dual seeker, which means you can have a card or a character that can be played in two factions, which is awesome. And then you can mix up the two factions and have a Shattered Legion or a Conclave of the Blood. I'm giving them names like that because you got Primal Blood, Conclave of the Spheres, or you could have Primal Spheres. You know, it depends on the Seeker you want to use. And then you can use cards from both sides. There's some other dual cards as well. There's dual Seekers. It's really cool. So it's really well done. So even though I do the base in the main color of the faction, I can mix them in with other factions, and I just find it looks cool. And even my card sleeves actually match like sort of like the faction, and then they mix. Let's say like I had a yellow green deck, I think, or something like that. And anyways, I just mixed them up and I put purple because I was like, oh, you know what, purple would be good. Oh no, I think use. Anyways, doesn't matter. Decks sleeves are not important right now. It's a miniature death metal, just doing some highlights on all the armor, like all the edges and all that, to kind of break through the cobalt metal to make it look even nicer and spiffier. Paratrooper tan just to highlight that belt. And then, oops, mossy green popped up on the screen for a second there. I guess I forgot to cut that out. But you know what? It's funny when bloopers like that happen. See how many of you catch it? Well, I just said it, so you will catch it. Mossy green now to do some nice final highlights on his cape. Again, I put a little too much at one spot there because I accidentally hit the brush on. I was like, well, I got to fix this up a bit. But it blends in okay. But again, this one's a little bright. I should have went one higher maybe. I'm trying to get exactly where the light is. So what I do before is I'll put my miniature standing straight up and have my light right above it. And I'll kind of like take a mental note of where the light hits. The quartz skin is next, going over to mocha skin just to make them more pale, more vampire-like. Anyways, and then next here, so here we go. I'm going to dry brush the base now with the pearl skin, which is what I'm going to be doing on a lot of the other models when I'm going to be using speed paints mostly. I want to really just use Warpaints Fanatics to show you guys that it is super fast and simple anyways. So using the smaller dry brush from the Army Painter here, the Masterclass dry brushes, got some pearl skin on it, used my dry palette, and next we're going to be doing the base. That's right. And look what I took out just for Halloween, my spooky ghost poppet. That's right, perfect for speed paints. You can see me putting the speed paints in there. When that dries, pop it out. You got a whole new clean palette to use. It's amazing. Ashen Stone. I have started to like Ashen Stone for stone. Isn't that a weird thing? I mean, so weird. So I'm using it here on the gravestone here. A little bit of pallid bone for that one skull that's on this thing. And then I come in with some aged hide for the flesh that's remaining after being torn off from these creatures here, these people. But the color I'm going to use next kind of blends in a little bit into that flesh, and I didn't realize that. So you can go ahead and use, well, not next, but soon, Fire Giant Orange just for the wicks of the candles there. And then some Grim Black, sorry, for the crows that he's got around him here that are pecking at one of them, and he's lifting the flesh off. Aged hide, perfect for guts and ripped flesh, I think. There's gonna pop up a lot, I think, in this series of Legion painted models because it's just amazing. So Talus Bronze, I was putting this on, and as soon as I got near the skin, the aged hide, I was like, whoa, this is almost like a metallic version of aged hide. But then I'm like, wait, what if the chains are made up of skin that's been ripped off of things? You know, what if this is gruesome and the chains got just a metallic look to them, or just, you know, do what you want with them. If you want to use a different color because it blends in a little too much, I will not be mad at you, and frankly I'll be happy that you take your own methods and test them out anyways. And you're also going to notice I am not going to do any of the ground here. I'm going to leave it as is because I like the fact that The colors I use as a base coat and a dry brushing gives it that eerie look and gives it the faction the whole same look on the ground. So they're all going to match when it comes to ground and stuff like that. It's going to keep that. But anything else like ornaments and stuff like that will all be painted up. So hey, and if you guys are enjoying Malediction, you're enjoying me painting these videos, I know there's not a lot of them out there. So I hope you're finding my channel and are excited about me painting up. Do you want to see every single model painted up on the channel? Let me know, okay? And here's the big reveal. Yes sir folks, Vorendal the Dreadheart is painted and ready for the table. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to slay the gray, one miniature at a time.